Today, the stretch of Michigan Avenue between North Blackstone Street and Martin Luther King Jr. Drive is one of Jackson's main arteries. This half-mile corridor pulsates with activity, thanks to dozens of restaurants, boutiques, and businesses located there, and thanks to Jackson's bright walls, which are adorned with murals painted by artists who gathered downtown to bring color and life to drab building exteriors. Each year in late November, this corridor serves as the main route for the annual Christmas parade when Santa makes his debut. And throughout the winter, it glows with holiday lights strung from every tree. In the summer, the avenue attracts thousands to popular events like Cruise In, when vehicles of all makes and models line both sides of the street. And in September, it is the setting for the Fall Fest and Chili Cook-Off, when chefs set out their zesty creations for eager fans. But Michigan Avenue was not always known by that name, nor was it always popular. In 1829, when Horace Blackman arrived at what is now called Jackson, reports described the area as a howling wilderness. In spite of that bleak assessment, Blackman saw the area's potential, so he bought 160 acres at $2 per acre, and he ultimately founded the village of Jacksonburg. Like all settlements of that time, the new burg needed to accommodate wagon-bound residents seeking to transport goods to a commercial center. So, in 1830, early planners used a survey laid out by Jonathan Stratton to develop the town's first dirt roads. St. Joseph Street, today's Michigan Avenue, was designated as the main east-west thoroughfare passing through the heart of the new burg, and Jackson Street was established as the north-south corridor. The cross-section where these two roads intersected was deemed the village hub, a juncture known as Public Square. In the years that followed, St. Joseph Street drew many essential services into its gravitational pull. This was the spot where villagers could find businesses of all types, including saloons, barbers, clothiers, drugstores, and dry goods. It was also the location of essential municipal services such as the courthouse and the post office. As St. Joseph Street became the main thoroughfare in the mid-1800s, its name changed to Main Street. Many of the buildings on Main Street reflected the Romanesque and neoclassical architecture popular of that time, a style characterized by masonry construction and graceful semicircular arches over windows and doors. With a little imagination, passers-by can still catch glimpses of what Main Street looked like in the mid-1800s thanks to several original structures still in use today. One example is the Morris Building. This brick building, which sits at the intersection of Michigan Avenue and Jackson Street, was founded in 1853 and is still used by businesses today. Another example is the building occupied by Chilongo's Burrito Bar Restaurant at the intersection of Michigan Avenue and Mechanic Street. In the 1860s, this building was occupied by a baker named John Webb, who did a steady business feeding soldiers and visitors during the Civil War. Another original structure is the Masonry Building once owned by a grocer named William Jackson. In 1861, Jackson offered his third-floor hall as a meeting place for residents who gathered to express their support for President Lincoln's call for troops at the start of the Civil War. Today, the building is occupied by JTV. By the 1880s, Main Street had become a bustling business district brimming with business owners, shoppers, and residents needing services of all kinds. Many successful entrepreneurs of this time financed the construction of business blocks that bore their names. One prominent example is the W.R.E. Reynolds block, a name featured in the Masonry Building that today is occupied by Veritas Restaurant. Other notable buildings along the avenue include the Carnegie branch of the Jackson District Library, a neoclassical structure built in 1906, and the Hayes Hotel, a 10-story brick and limestone federal-style structure that opened in 1926. The hotel, which included a restaurant, lounge, grand ballroom and ornate fixtures, has had many owners and uses since then. Main Street has seen its fair share of pomp and circumstance over the years, thanks to several parades. Occasions included processions to honor the soldiers of various wars, the visit of President William Taft in 1910, and rose parades stretching back to 1958. Today, Michigan Avenue continues to be a magnet for festivals and entertainment, including the historic Michigan Theater, which opened around 1930 and was described as a Spanish palace of delicate beauty. The historic theater is still hosting movies and events of all kinds today. The ground itself has also undergone several changes, beginning with an Indian trail that originally passed through the intersection. Pioneers then developed a dirt road that became a dust bowl in the dry heat of summer and a muddy mess in the rainy season. So in 1848, city planners paved the road's surface with cobblestones. In the early 1900s, another change was added with the insertion of iron rails that accommodated interurban transportation, that is, streetcars propelled by overhead electric lines. By the 1930s, when automobiles became more affordable and prevalent, interurban transportation ceased, and Michigan Avenue, like many other city streets, was paved to better suit the needs of automobiles. The names associated with this corridor also have evolved from Territorial Road to St. Joseph Street to Main Street to Michigan Avenue. The last and current name was officially adopted in January 1924, and it's worth noting that 2024 is the centennial observation of that milestone. Michigan Avenue's landscape changed dramatically in the 1960s when planners blocked traffic from Blackstone Street to Mechanic Street in order to create a pedestrian mall called Progress Place. The idea did not catch on, and by 1983, Progress Place was demolished and two-way traffic was fully restored. Today, this half-mile stretch of Michigan Avenue remains a vibrant part of downtown. And if the past holds any lessons for the future, change will continue to transform this thoroughfare so that it lives up to its tradition of making Jackson a better place to live, work, and have fun. More information about the significant people, landmarks, and events connected with this stretch of Michigan Avenue can be found on state and local historical markers installed along the avenue, in the archives of the Carnegie branch of the Jackson District Library, and in literature available at Experience Jackson, all of which are located on Michigan Avenue. Information can also be found in historical booklets available for purchase from the Jackson County, Michigan Historical Society website.